Good morning. I am stressed out. It is 8:30. It is the 17th day of January 2021. I am your grumpy guide to all things gaming. Support me, Red Bull. I need a sponsor, and I will sell out. So, I was recently asked by a subscriber named Xanthos what my top 3 favorite modules and my top 3 favorite YouTubers were. And I made a video on that. It'll be up there yesterday. I thought, well, since we're doing this whole question and answer Genie D&D tag thing, what are my top role-playing games of all time? Now, so let's do the list of my top role-playing games of all time, in no necessary order. And it doesn't mean these are great systems. Some of the systems I like are horrible. These are just the systems I've played the most and enjoy the most. And if somebody said, hey, I'm running, I would be like, yes, please. And if I had a choice, I'd be like, oh, I prefer that game over. So these are my favorite games, and not necessarily be best games. I don't even know what best game means. But these are in my umpteen years of gaming, my favorite games in no specific order. And of course, we have to start with Tales from the Loop, because I love this game. I don't know why I love this game. Well, obviously the art was the first thing that made me fall in love with it. The premise of this game on the first glance is like, wait, you're playing teenagers in the middle of nowhere, and in addition to dealing with all the things that a teenager has to deal with, they've also got to deal with dinosaurs and robots and armed security guards. Why would... First, I think somebody else would notice the dinosaurs, and second, I'm 9. I want to live to see 10. Why would I go deal with dinosaurs? You get past that. The system is okay. It's not great. But there's just something about this game. Just the ideas, the art, I have consistently referred to Tales from the Loop as a tale of beautiful melancholy. It captures all the best and all the worst of the 80s. And that whole, our last summer, last days of childhood feeling. It's just such a breath of fresh air. I love it. I just, for a game that I've never played, never run, this is definitely one of my favorite games of all time. And in that, we also have to go to Blue Planet, another game that is one of my favorites of all games of all time. Never got to play it, never got to run it, owned it for a while, about a year, then sold it because I was like, I'm never going to play this, but I loved it. I loved the idea. Again, it was just a breath of fresh air. It was just, again, this beautiful alien melancholy world of water and dolphins and submarines, and just sort of that childhood joy of going underwater and looking for buried treasure and being in a submarine. There's just something about it. So that's one of my favorites. Of course, then we have to go to probably one of my favorite role-playing games, if not my favorite role-playing game of all time. And if you look at the hours, it's probably the second most game I've invested the most time and energy to, and is definitely the top of my list that if somebody said they were running this, I would be like, yes, please, now. It is my favorite game. And that, of course, is Villains and Vigilantes 2nd edition, my all-time favorite game. What? Weird? Huh? I know, but let's look at the numbers. Even though I was playing D&D when it first came out, and I owned it D&D when it first came out, from 1975, 1976 to 1984, the game I played the most, the game I ran the most, was Villains and Vigilantes 2nd edition, or homebrew versions of Villains and Vigilantes. Superhero games were huge in the late 70s, 80s in the San Fernando Valley. It's like, we offered to run, it was like nobody really wanted to play D&D. There were D&D players, but then they heard about Villages and Vigilantes and they wanted to play that instead. I don't know why. I guess it was just the golden age of kids wanting to be superheroes. So from 70s through leaving for college, 1984, the game I played the most, Villages and Vigilantes. Loved it. In college, the game I played the most, Barry Osser's Villages and Vigilantes campaign. Great DM, great friend, great game. Pretty much consistently twice a week for 4 years was either running or playing Villages and Vigilantes with Barry Osser and friends. Come home from college to back to LA, and now everybody was playing D&D, and that was the beginning of my 15-year-long D&D game with TJ Storm. We occasionally played other games, but mostly that's sort of, I count that as the official beginning of my D&D gaming. I mean, I was playing and I knew about it, but really wasn't a major. And then it's just like nobody really wanted to play or run V&V since then. We played a lot of Heroes Unlimited. We played a lot of Marvel. I've tried running it since I moved up here to Ventura, but mostly they just wanted to be murder hobos with superpowers. So I stopped, but it's still probably one of my all-time favorite. In that vein, also, Marvel Superheroes is one of my all-time favorite games. Strangely enough, Dungeons & Dragons is not one of my favorite games. It's like the game I'll play and run, either because, like, yeah, I got some good ideas, or that's what people want to do. But really, if I had a choice to play Villains and Vigilantes or something else, I would choose that, something else. So yeah, those are probably my top 4. Tales from the Loop, Blue Planet, Villages and Vigilantes, Marvel Superheroes. There are other games I enjoy. I mean, Heroes Unlimited is a game I enjoy. Dungeons and Dragons, yeah, sure. GURPS, I mean, yeah, Interlock, Cyberpunk 2020, the original Cyberpunk from Untitled Games. That was definitely a game I loved for a while. GURPS was a game I loved for a while, but then I kind of just lost, it just wasn't really going anywhere, and it wasn't really a thing I enjoyed. So, yeah. Aftermath, Gamma World, there are other games that I enjoyed. But if we're just talking about my top 5 games I absolutely love, my favorite games of all time, Tales from the Loop, Blue Planet, Villains and Vigilantes 2nd Edition, Marvel, and I guess Dungeons and Dragons. I mean, you can't not be a favorite, right? So there you go, Xanthos. My top 5 favorite role-playing games of all time. Which one do I think is the best of all the systems? In the sense, like, what do I think is the best system of those 5? It was which one of those systems can I do any genre in? Not D&D. Villains and Vigilantes, 2nd Edition. Well, actually, Villains and Vigilantes is a horrible system when you think about it. I don't remember Blue Planet, the system. So probably this, because I think, the Mutant Year Zero system is just, because it's just D6s and exploding D6s. It's like the West End Games D6 system. It's like, this is a system I could probably build any game around. I could build a fantasy game using this system. I could build a superhero game using this system. If I was trapped on an island and I only had one gaming system to use of those 5, it'd be this one. Now, if I was like trapped on a desert island, it's like there's only one system in the universe, it'd be a basic role-playing Call of Cthulhu. That's probably, yeah. But that's a completely different topic, so... There you go, Xanthos, and anybody else who cares. My top 5 role-playing games of all time. Thank you very much. If you appreciate this content, blah, 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 I say this all the time. Please subscribe. Help me hit 300 subs by March and 500 subs by August 4th. Blah. That's all I got. Talk to you later.